2, 1. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And so thank you all so much for being here. Today I want to talk about what is going to happen with DACA. All right, what can we expect about the DACA program in 2025? So welcome, thank you all so much for being here. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration law and to make the most out of their lives. All right, why do we do that? Because I believe immigrants are awesome. All right, and in my firm, we believe immigrants are awesome. We're here to fight for the rights of immigrants. Today, our theme is what's going to happen with DACA in 2025. Okay, and my question always is, hey, are you in a situation where you want to apply for something? You want to get a green card. You want to fix your immigration status. You want to come out of the shadows and be done with the shadows. If my firm can help you in any way with that, we would love to do that. Okay, my firm's on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases by 2035. We would love for your case to be one of them. So as I'm talking about today's theme, if you've got questions, send them my way. I will do my best. All right, I will do my best to answer them here live. And so let me jump into it. First of all, it's December, folks. Can you believe it? December of 2024. And the year's almost over. And Trump has won the election, which is bad news for immigrants. It's bad news for immigration lawyers. It's also bad news for DACA, all right, and for the 800,000 people, more than that, who have applied or who have obtained DACA in the past, okay? Remember that Trump tried to terminate DACA completely in 2017, and he wasn't completely successful then, but he could be this time. And there's a federal lawsuit, which, Southern District Judge in the Southern District of Texas put an injunction in place originally in 2021 saying that the USCIS was no longer allowed to approve new filings for DACA, but people could continue to renew their previously obtained DACA status, right? And that's been in place since 2021, went up to the Supreme Court, went back down to the district court level, and then in 2023, the district court level said that they found that the DACA decision was unconstitutional, and they said that still they're going to allow USCIS to renew the folks that have applied for DACA in the past, but they're not going to approve new cases, and now that is working its way up through the federal courts. All right, so that's DACA. It's litigation that's ongoing. We're going to see what happens. That might come up in 2025. In the meantime, Trump could very well just try to repeal the program completely, right? And this applies to DACA especially, but in many ways it applies to TPS, temporary protected status. It applies to parole, people who are in the U.S. on humanitarian parole, or other types of deferred action, or any type of discretionary benefit, all right? Any type of these programs are programs, they're not laws, right? So they're not protected by the Immigration Nationality Act, by an act of Congress. Instead, they're programs that were initiated by presidents, which means that a future president can fairly simply take them away. All right, you got to be mindful of that. So if you're in any of those contexts, DACA, TPS, humanitarian parole, deferred action, some kind of discretionary immigration context, then you're going to want to pay attention and you're going to want to think things through. Okay? Like, I want each of you to think about what would happen if your work permit, your EAD, goes away, right? And what would your plan be? Because as always in life, it's like if you plan for the worst, when it comes, it won't be, right? It won't be so bad if you've got a plan in place. I want you to plan for your worst case scenario so that you're prepared. Like, could you get a work permit through a different option? Could you apply for a green card somehow, right? Could you do something now that could maximize your chances of being able to apply for a green card in the future, right? For example, if you have a way to apply for or request emergency advanced parole, and if you've never been inspected and admitted or paroled in the U.S., talk to a lawyer about that now, right? That will probably go away after Trump takes power, but it's still possible. Not easy, but possible. And so if you're married to a U.S. citizen, talk with a lawyer now. If you're up for renewal of your DACA, like if you are within 6 months of your expiration, renew your DACA now, right? Another thing that I share is you might consider starting a business so that your business can get paid even if you don't have a work permit anymore, right? You can still receive money as a business. Think about non-U.S. citizen, like foreign investors that come in. So somebody from Canada comes in the U.S. and buys a bunch of property. That happens every day, right? How do they do it? They do it with an ITIN number and with a business. They create an LLC or they create a small business so that the business can receive money and have a business bank account that now they have access to, right? And so, if you can't get money through a W-2 job because your work permit expires, you could still get paid as a business. Something to think about, okay? I also want you to consider, like, if you were put into deportation proceedings, I'm not saying, I don't know your situation. I don't know if you're a priority for that or not, right? But if you were put into deportation proceedings, what options would you have there? Could you apply for asylum? Could you apply for cancellation of removal? Could you apply for VAWA or VAWA-based cancellation of removal? Could you apply for a U visa? Talk with a lawyer to review all of your options, all right? And think it through so that you have a game plan. Right? That's my goal for everyone, is that you just start thinking these questions so that you're prepared, so that you know what may be coming, and we don't know what exactly is going to happen, but it's possible, right, that DACA goes away, and if that happens, then I want everybody to be prepared, and if it doesn't happen, I mean, heck, lots of things. We can't predict the future, right? Maybe all the stars align and the DREAM Act magically gets passed, and now everybody that had DACA would be eligible for green cards. That's what I believe ought to be done, right? But what are the chances of that? Low, very, very, very unlikely. All right, and so it's like we can be optimistic. I'm an optimist. Right? But we want to be realistic also, right? We don't just want to have anyway. I really encourage every person to prepare, to plan, to think about what's going to be the best option for you to protect yourself long term. Okay? So that's my talk for today. Very short and sweet. But I wanted to share that with everybody. What are the questions that are out there, if any? And if there aren't any, then I'll go into my empowerment tip and we'll wrap up, and then we'll do this episode in Spanish. But if there are questions, feel free, right? Are there anything, how's everybody doing? Where's everybody tuning in from? I see people on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. My name's Otis Landerholm. If you're just tuning in, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. I got it on my jacket here. We're based in Oakland, California, and we fight for immigrants. All right? And so if we can help you in any way, we're happy to do that. So if you've got a question, feel free to submit it. And otherwise, I'll get into my empowerment tip here. Here's my tip for today. This is inspired by Tony Robbins, but lots of other folks have said similar things. The tip is this. The tip is ask a better question. Okay? Ask a better question. Like, in our minds, we're asking ourselves questions all the time. And if, in your mind, you ask a question like, why can't I get ahead? Why am I struggling so much? Why is life so difficult? Right? If those are the questions that are going on inside of your mind, I want you to consider that those are bad questions. Those are not useful questions, okay? Like, be aware of the internal thoughts that are going in your mind and change them. And instead, you could ask, hey, instead of asking, why can't I get ahead? Ask, how can I get ahead here? Right? What habit could I change that would set me up for success? What could I do to make my life easier and bring me more joy? Right? Those are good questions. How about this one? How can I succeed even with Trump coming into the White House regardless of my immigration status? That I want you to ask that question. How can I succeed even with Trump coming into the White House regardless of my immigration status? I want you to ask that question because I want you to succeed. All right? That's my empowerment tip. I hope that's useful. I hope it's helpful. I don't think I've received, let me see. I don't think I've received any questions today, which is totally fine. Let me stop there. If this was useful, if this was helpful, please give me a thumbs up or a heart, or, if it's really helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Take a minute, go to our channel in YouTube, right? Hit the subscribe button. I think we've got over 1,000 subscribers in just the last week. So we'd love for you to subscribe as well. Please join us. Mr. Summon, I see you here. Hello. After my judge dismissed my asylum case in 2022, my mom got her citizenship and applied for an I-130, all right, in 2024. Am I safe for the new administration? Thank you. Well, thank you for asking this question, and thank you for being here. So, are you safe under the new administration? Not completely, right? Having an I-130 that's pending does not give you immigration status, all right? It does not give you a green card. It does not give you automatic protection from deportation or anything, but it's better than nothing, all right? The other thing that you've got going for you, Mr. Summon, I see you here, is that your case in immigration court was dismissed. That's good, all right? That means that if Trump wants to do anything against you, or if his administration wants to do anything against you, they would have to re-NTA you. They'd give you a new notice to appear, and you would have the right to fight that case, all right? And so if that happens, you can, hire a lawyer and you can fight your case. You could file your own asylum case, right? Or you can present whatever arguments you can present in immigration court. Cases will still be winnable, right? I won cases even under the Trump administration in the past, right? Cases will still be won, right? And the question is, okay, if you're in that situation where you're given a new notice to appear and now you got to go to court again, hey, game on. Time to lawyer up. That's what lawyers are here for. And let's fight that fight. I mean, that's the way it is. Okay, but thank you for asking that question. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you being here. Jason Garcia, can you help me withdraw an asylum application, and how much do you charge for that? So the answer to that is yes, absolutely, we can. And how much do we charge for it? That depends. We would need to start with a consultation. All right, we would need to start with a consultation, figure out exactly why you're withdrawing your asylum application, figure out what you're doing instead. And if it's just a motion to withdraw, it's pretty straightforward and simple. But the question is, like, are they gonna, like, why are you withdrawing, and are they gonna approve that motion? And are you applying for something else? Are you in immigration court or just in front of the asylum office? We've got to get to the bottom of a lot of different pieces of the puzzle. Withdrawing an asylum application can be risky, all right? Like, they could still NTA you, give you a notice to appear to fight charges in immigration court, right? When you file for asylum, there's always a risk that you can be subject to deportation proceedings. Like, that's what it's about, right? So you got to be aware of that. All right, Travelpedia, great name, great name. Thank you for being here. You say, I have a 245I approved from 20 years ago. Can I apply for a green card? That depends, all right? Great that you have 245I protection. For those who are listening and anyone that's not familiar with that term, normal green card cases, like if you marry a U.S. citizen and you file today for a green card adjustment of status, that type of case is done through Section 245A of the Immigration Nationality Act, all right? In the old days, there was a different section called 245I of the Immigration Nationality Act that allowed people to adjust status even when they didn't have a lawful inspection and admission or parole in the U.S., okay? And so, but they had to have a petition that was filed and pending on or before April 30th of 2001. That's when the 245I benefit disappeared, okay? I want Congress to reinstate 245I for people in the present, but they have not done that, okay? And we can continue to push and fight that fight politically to ask them to change the law in that way. That would be a great and relatively easy thing for Congress to do if they would get their act together and if they valued immigrants, right? Which right now they don't, unfortunately, right? Or at least there isn't agreement, right, in that direction. So the bottom line is, Travelpedia, maybe you could be eligible. The question is that petition approvable today? Is it current today? You've got to check the visa bulletin. What category of a petition was it? Or do you have a new petitioner? Because the way 245I works is, say you have a new petitioner right now, you get married to a U.S. citizen right now, they can file a petition today. Or if you have a child who turns 21, right now they can file a new petition for you, and you can use 245I in order to, like, adjust status here in the U.S. You don't need to leave the country. All right? Hope that made sense. If you have further questions about that, 245I law can be tricky, right? And so I would recommend having a lawyer look through this and having it help you. You got it through an approved I-140, so that's an employment-based immigration case, so that's awesome, all right? And yeah, you said I never went to take my biometrics and for your work permit. Okay, you're going to want to get to the bottom of all of it. All right, talk to a lawyer. Sometimes we need to request all the records and see how we can help you. Okay? Next question here, just going through. Mike Johnson, if I have a pending asylum case, can I get deported? And I do not have a criminal record. If I have a pending asylum case, can you get deported? The answer, Mike, thank you for asking that question. If you have a pending asylum case, you can get deported if your case is denied. The way it works is, if you file for asylum, you have the right to be heard on your asylum case, but asylum is not easy, right? 70% of asylum cases are denied. It is an uphill battle. The laws are against us in asylum cases, all right? And so it's like you want to present a case very well if you're filing for asylum. You want to do it as professionally as you possibly can. You want to do it with lawyers who really know what they're doing, who are up to date on current asylum law to maximize your chances of success. Okay? And if you win asylum. But if you lose, you get ordered deported. And that's the way asylum works. Okay? So that's why it's a risky thing to do. But if you win, it changes your life for the better for the rest of time, right? So it's like the benefits are enormous. It's a pathway to a green card and citizenship, right? It's a big deal. You can petition and include your family in an asylum case if you win, right? It's a game changer. And then if you lose, yeah, you're subject to deportation. So that's the way it works. All right, Mr. Summon, I see you here. I really appreciate answering my questions. Yeah, have a wonderful day as well. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Molly Worry, I see your question here. Would an EAD be voided immediately, or will it continue until expired if Trump takes away deferred action? That's a good question. Typically, the employment, like if a program is completely terminated, typically the employment authorization is completely terminated as well. However, your employer wouldn't know that, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like if you have a work permit that's valid through a certain date, I've had it and seen it many times that an employer will still employ you through the expiration of that EAD, right? Does that help? So, all right, Avi, I see your question here. Is there any option if a U.S. citizen spouse is in a jail? Yes, yeah. That is an unfortunate situation. I hope that your spouse has a lawyer fighting for them to get them out of jail. And yes, I did this probably 10 years ago now, where we actually had a marriage ceremony take place. It sounds like you're already married, so that's good. But about 10 years ago, I had a case where a spouse got arrested. My client was facing deportation, and we coordinated a marriage to take place in the jail. All right? Like, that's possible to do, and then we prepare the paperwork and file, and they've got a green card, right? And so it's like those things are possible when you've got lawyers who are ready and willing to fight a case, right? But it takes a lot of coordination. Like just getting a pastor or a priest to go inside a jail it's not automatic, right? It requires some coordinating, right? So, all right, I see you here. Just had my waiver interview, but was not approved on the spot. What's next? All right, not approved on the spot versus denied are two very different things. All right, so not approved on the spot, that's common. You know, sometimes it takes a while. All right, so right now you got to wait. If there's no decision, I don't know what type of waiver that was, but if there's no decision, say for 3 months, right, then start doing inquiries. Hey, what's going on? I still don't have a decision. I mean, you might even push it before then if you really want a decision before January 20th, which I wouldn't blame you, depending on your situation, right? So anyways, what's next are inquiries, then what we call an ombudsman request, then what we call a potential mandamus action where you sue the government if they're taking too long to get you a decision, depending on your type of case. Okay, sometimes you got to wait like a whole year before you can really file a lawsuit against the government, even after an interview, right? And that's not across the board. That's not like legal advice for you at all. I don't know your situation. We can really look at it in a consultation if you want to. All right? I see 3 more questions, and then I got to wrap up and get into my Spanish episode. All right? So Jason Garcia, I see your question here. You say, if I have a failed to appear for asylum and a prima facie for VAWA, okay, and so I want to cancel that asylum and only have the VAWA. Well, if you have a failure to appear, then that's probably a deportation order against you, right? So if any time you don't show up to court to fight an asylum case, if your case is in immigration court, right? Anytime you don't show up, they call that an in absentia removal order. And so then what you don't need a motion to withdraw asylum. What you need is a motion to reopen your case, all right, so that you can file for VAWA. I don't know if that's the precise situation. You might need to request records, or we might need to really look at what happened and when. And so, Mr. Garcia, if we could help you in any way, please give us a call. We'd love to help. Sorry, I'm getting some incoming call here. All right, anyway, hope that was useful. Hope that was helpful. So let's see, Ado, what do you know about the I-751 extension letter? Is it safe to travel internationally with it? Yeah, it is. It is. As long as the extension letter's expiration date is still valid, then you're okay to travel with that. Take the originals. If it's not still valid, you might go to the Application Support Center. All right, there's a way to do this where they put a stamp in your passport first, right? And that gives you the ability, the addit stamp, they call it. And it says that your green card I-751 is still pending, and that gives you a document to show to immigration when you come back into the U.S. All right? The best advice, Ado, is before you leave, talk to your immigration lawyer, and if you don't have one, hey, feel free to call us. What I've done for many of my clients, I just had a client travel with an I-751 pending, and it's been pending for a long time. It's outside of normal processing times. What I did is I wrote him a detailed travel letter, all right, that explained the situation. We got him a stamp in his passport, and he's got the I-751 extension letter. And with that, he traveled. He came back into the country. The people that gave him the most trouble were the airlines, all right? The airlines are becoming more and more strict. This is an issue. This is an ongoing issue. There's going to be a lawsuit about this, I promise. All right? And maybe I'll file it, right? If an airline violates my client's rights to return to the U.S. by denying them entry onto the plane, that's a serious issue. For my client traveling in that context, the airline gave him trouble but eventually got him on board. The Border Patrol official was like, yeah, you're good. All right? So anyway, that's something to be aware of. User, and you're my last question, user 211, all right? AOS was just filed through my citizen's son, waiting for receipts. Can I be detained and deported while waiting? You know, you could be detained in theory if you commit a crime, right? Or if you are a priority for them to be detained. You cannot be deported, though, until your application is adjudicated. You'd have the right to file, unless you have a deportation order against you, right? You would have the right to fight your adjustment of status case in immigration court unless, I'll do a whole training about this, unless you entered on ESTA. All right, if you enter on ESTA, then you don't have the right to be NTA'd and to fight a case in immigration court. Still, though, you're very likely, you know, if you just filed for adjustment of status, good for you. I would recommend you do that. You're waiting for receipts. Let's hope that those come in before Trump comes into power, so that you've got a case pending, so that any regulation change doesn't affect you, right? Or so that, I won't say any, but so that the vast majority of regulation changes affect cases that are looking forward, not cases that are already on file. So for those who are listening, if you've got a case and if you're eligible, it's wise to file it now whenever possible, okay? And so, like, I've got a lot of folks calling our office to have them to file for adjustment of status right now so that we get it on file and get receipts notices in by January 20th, all right? And we're actually very, very full. We're fully booked for consults this week for that reason. And so if you want to get on it, and if you're listening to this and you want to file a case and really get moving on your case, now's the time. Now's a great time to do it, all right? All right, you guys, thank you all so much for being here. I hope this was useful. I hope it was helpful. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. You know, one other thing that I want to share is be cautious to have your case done professionally right now, okay? And here's why. when the Trump administration takes power, their officers are going to be trained to look for excuses to deny cases. All right? When that happens, because it will happen, when that happens, you're going to want a lawyer who can really fight for you, who can go to court for you, who can sue the government on your behalf, who can push back to get you the benefit that you are seeking. Do not, be very cautious, and hear me here, do not do this type of case with a lawyer who's brand new, who doesn't know how to fight for you, and do not do this type of case with your cousin, with your friend who wants to help you fill out the paperwork. Don't do it on your own. Don't do it with a notario, because none of those people are licensed to go in a courtroom. In order to have somebody fight for you in court, represent you in immigration court, they must be licensed to practice law. All right? And that's just something, that's just advice. That's just advice. All right? Follow it, do with it what you will. I am a certified specialist in immigration law. When in doubt, find someone with that type of certification who's a pro, who's been doing immigration cases as their number one focus for over 10 years. That's the type of person that you're going to want. All right, whether that's me or any other lawyer. And I'm happy to help in any way I can. Rocket, Trump all the way, Trump baby. Like, I respectfully disagree. All right, I respectfully very much disagree with that. I think he's on the wrong side of reason, actually. All right, I think that he's just anti-immigrant. I don't disagree with all of his policies and with everything that he says, but I very much disagree with his stance on immigration. And I'm an immigration lawyer. All right, so this is what I focus on. So, Altaf Shaki, hi. I came to the U.S. on a B1, B2 visa, and we did overstay, and now we have U.S. citizen kids, and we don't have any criminal records. Can we still get deported? Answer is yes. All right. Anyone who's overstayed their visa is deportable by law. So even though you have children who are U.S. citizens, right, your children, like, that doesn't change the situation for you. You are still legally deportable. Now, you might be eligible for a case. Like, if they were to NTA you, give you a notice to appear in immigration court, you could fight that case. All right? You know, you could fight that case, and heck, you know, once your child turns 21, then they can petition for you, and you can adjust status under current law, as long as you've got a clean record, etc. All right? But it is, that's the situation. Okay? Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each of you. Like, really, thank you for being here. I hope this was useful. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to our channel. The best way to follow us is to go to YouTube and type in Landerholm Immigration into YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. We're here to help. We'd love to help. All right? Thank you all so much. Make it a great day. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.